Ineffective planning costing country.
These are state assets.
Update on Frieda River project. And strike action questioned.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Friday's news. Ineffective planning by government agencies is costing taxpayers millions of kina. The Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reform and Service Delivery say this is a result of poor management. Today, they took a tour of Port Moresby City to show how this is affecting public life and assets.
An example of a waste of taxpayers' money is the vandalism done to the newly constructed light poles along the Gerehu to Baruni Road. Some of these light poles along this and along the newly constructed 9 Mile to Gerehu Road have been knocked down by cars that have veered off the road. Advisor to the Special Parliamentary Committee, Valentine Kambori.
There's one thing about designing and constructing. There's another thing about managing and administering and maintaining. So it seems like there's an imbalance between major policy statements, major development projects, major development funding, and the reality of the assets and facilities which are run down. And in this case, we have a major vandalism.
The question that the Parliamentary Committee is asking now is who will pay for damages?
These are state assets, declared public assets, constructed, built, and now we have a vandalism. Public fund just within 6 months has just disappeared.
Following its various reports into health and education issues, the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reforms and Service Delivery has said the public sector is a gross impediment to development in the country.
There's been an issue of regarding the public sector generally about how it's controlled and how it's managed. And you've seen that recently with Secretary Carley talking about clocking public sector employees in. Then the committee commends the DPM for doing that. However, getting public servants to work is one issue. Getting them to work and do what they're supposed to do is a totally different issue, which requires good management. And that's what's lacking.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
A car slammed into an open-back utility at high speed when it was trying to avoid being caught by police at the Gerehu to 9 Mile back road today. The car was reported to have no legal permit while having 2 plate numbers on it when examined by the police. An eyewitness said the accident was caused by drink driving. The eyewitness also said the car shifted to the opposite lane at high speed while being chased by a police vehicle this morning. The car driver sustained serious injury while the other 2 fled for cover from the residents around the area. The other vehicle driver did not receive any injury. However, the truck had its front pushed inward. At this time of the year, motorists must be cautious at all times. The 226 health support workers of Engau Hospital in Lae walked off their jobs at 4:06 this afternoon over their unmet demands. This move followed a week's notice served to the Department of Personnel Management to meet their log of claims. The hospital support workers joined their colleagues nationwide to go on a nationwide strike after their demands were not met by the government and the Department of Personnel Management. The General Secretary, Jack Swao, had called for a roundtable negotiation before the strike.
Engau Hospital support staff walked off their jobs this afternoon after a late notice from the PNG Health Support Association in Port Moresby. Night and day shift drivers, cleaners and other support workers joined their colleagues in a nationwide strike starting this afternoon.
Our strike commencing today, 4:06, as per the delay of our prolonged log of claims to DPM.
A letter sent yesterday to all staff was distributed at 3 this afternoon. About 400 in-ward patients at Engau Hospital will be affected. The strike is expected to continue over the weekend and over the next 3 weeks until the Department of Personnel Management gives a positive response to the demands.
So we are supporting this strike, and the drivers will be walk off, the cleaners will be off, all the support staff are planning that we will walk off right after 406 today.
The PNG Health Support Workers Association has gone on strike after their demands that were put forward to the Department of Personnel Management in September last year were not met. Labrand's Vice President Lance Matthias says despite the numerous negotiations carried out so far, there is still no positive response. They gave a 7-day notice to the Department of Personnel Management, which lapsed today.
I'm asking John Kelly, as this is very serious and he has to come out and express himself.
Mataluis, National EMTV News, Lay.
After the break, more on the health support workers' strike. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Frieda River project in West Sepik will contribute to enhancing the prosperity of Papua New Guinea. Dr. Fred Hess, Managing Director of PENOST, said this when talking about the risks and rewards of this project. Frieda River has the largest known gold and copper deposits in the world, with over 2 billion tons, and the O'Neill Dion government has committed to assisting the project at its various stages of development.
Dr. Hess said the Frieda River project is one that's been known for about 50 years. PENOST and its joint venture partner Highlands Pacific are aiming to bring the project into development very soon. They have already submitted a special mining lease application.
The project at present has moved through the feasibility study stage where we've completed a feasibility study. We've then taken that feasibility study and submitted a special mining lease application. And we're now in the phase where we're waiting for permitting and approvals to take place. And I think realistically, with the elections due next year, with the size and complexity of the project, we're expecting that that may take a while to get through to completion.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said the government was committed to the project.
Government continues to support the Frieda River and, of course, Yandera gold and copper projects. Frieda, as we all know, is one of the largest known gold and copper deposits with over 2 billion tons. The government is fully committed to these projects.
The project is a substantial open-cut mining operation dominated by a large storage facility. Dr. Hess said the project will generate substantial revenue that will be shared around a number of stakeholders, including local community, provincial government, the national government, and the company and its shareholders, who will all benefit from this project going forward. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now to a story about one man's determination to build a school for less fortunate students. Last year, Pastor Mervyn Gabarura left a full-time job and pursued his dream of building a community college for students who are unable to continue through the usual education pathways. It took him 1 year to build a double classroom using small donations and his own money. The building, nearly completed, will see the first intake next year.
This story doesn't involve grand corporate donations or political support. It revolves around one man's dream to provide an opportunity for students who are unable to continue to grade 9 due to various reasons.
In order to fulfill that call, I had to do it.
Pastor Mervyn Gabarura, who lives at 12 Mile outside of Lae, began building this double classroom last year. The money coming from small donations as little as 30 kina. It's an example of a dream that's being fulfilled with many, many small steps.
And this money is not literally having it in the account to do it. It's money that comes in by God's way of provision. And as it comes, I build. As it comes, I build. And so it took me 1 whole year, this year, 2016. And hopefully by end of this month or next month, I should complete it.
The building doesn't look like much. It's built of timber, roughly hewed, with a walkabout sawmill. Pastor Mervyn says 5 people support him with prayers and donations. And using some of his own money, he has spent over 50,000 kina for the construction materials.
I still feel the pinch of the money that I'm spending on this school.
Pastor Mervyn hopes to enroll the first intake of grade 9 next year. With increasing pressure on the education system, he hopes to provide an avenue for young people to gain skills and build character. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Leh.
Chuka Industries, PNG's leading rice distributor, has launched a new rice product introduced under its popular Roots value brand called the Roots Long Grain Rice. Roots Long Grain Rice, like all Chukai products, is vitamin enriched. Chukai Sales and Marketing General Manager Andrew Dobney said the point was to focus on affordability without compromising its quality to aid families struggling to cope with tough economic conditions in PNG right now. Roots Long Grain Rice is available throughout PNG in 1 kg, 10 kg and 20 kg volumes. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4102 Australian dollars, $0.2874 euro and 34.8 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa and copra closed the day lower. Crude oil closed higher while palm oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 65.19 points higher, the ASX is trading at 16.99 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 16.83 points higher. National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The fifth brand new ATR aircraft for PNG Air has commenced its first commercial operations today. The new aircraft, Alpha Tango Delta, has joined 4 other ATRs already flying the domestic routes. Chief Commercial Officer Paul Abbott said the new edition will provide even greater option for travelers to enjoy the superior comfort and quietness of PNG's newest aircraft fleet. Changes to the airline schedule means all services to Lihir, Medang and Wewak are now operated by ATR aircrafts. Services between Leh and Mount Hagen have been reinstated with additional services to Kiunga on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Turning overseas now, while Syria's civil war rages on, Russia and the United States are meeting to discuss a militant pullout of Aleppo. Syrian rebels are close to losing their last Aleppo stronghold in the wake of a brutal government assault. Civilians are fleeing the area and often find themselves caught in the crossfire.
As the rebels increasingly lose their grip on Aleppo, Syrian armed forces continue to pound the besieged areas, many killed and wounded in the crossfire. We came to this frontline crossing just as a man was being evacuated, claiming he was shot by rebels as he tried to flee. They shot me as I was running out, he says. They don't allow anyone to get out. They said, "Are you going to the regime areas?" The opposition strongly denies its fighters would harm civilians, but the rebels do acknowledge they won't be able to hold out in Aleppo much longer. And that realization is leading to an avalanche of people trying to flee the rebel districts. Syrian troops throwing some bread, but not nearly enough to quell the hunger of the many who've been starving for months.
The Syrian military has made major advances once again in the past 24 hours, and we can see that as the army moves forward, more and more people are coming out of those former besieged areas.
Many of those fleeing families with small children, struggling to carry the few belongings they were able to take. Many overpowered by emotions, some with barely enough strength to walk, others too frail to walk at all. The Syrian army has amassed a massive force at this front line, the local commander with a clear message to the rebels. Look at this scene, he says, these are your families. Surrender yourselves and drop your arms. Come back to the country, and hopefully our leadership will forgive you. But for now, the fight goes on. This family, one of the many to cross into government-controlled territory, now in safety, but still in agony. Things used to be good, this elderly woman says. May God act out revenge on those who brought us these difficult circumstances, and may God protect us. And so they walk on, weak and traumatized, moving into an uncertain future.
The great American movie actor Kirk Douglas has added centenary to his credits. The guy who played many movie roles such as Spartacus and the father of another great actor, Michael Douglas, is turning 100.
So here's to you, Kirk, that eternal dimple, that smile, that twinkle, and always that blazing, almost masochistic intensity.
I'm not going to be a hey you all my life. I want to hear people call me Mister. I'm going to make something of myself.
Looking back, we wonder, do they make movie tough guys quite like you anymore?
You didn't get into a fight, you picked one, didn't you? Me? Pick a fight?
5'9", obviously a useful southpaw, and a plausible middleweight contender.
Did you hear that crowd? For the first time in my life, people cheering for me. You're deaf, didn't you hear them?
Who else could dump the girl quite like you, Kirk, even if she happened to be Lana Turner? You always seem to be going to war, taking on anybody.
I'm moving no place till I'm ready.
And you had the voice, almost a snarl, for a speech.
The case made against these men is a mockery of all human justice. Gentlemen of the court, to find these men guilty will be a crime to haunt each of you to the day you die.
But you could also be soft. You could caress the words.
Someday when I'm really good, I'm going to do things with this trumpet nobody's ever thought of doing. I'm going to hit a note that nobody ever heard before.
You've been lucky, Kirk, in work and in life, and you know it. Surviving a helicopter crash 25 years ago, recovering from a stroke 20 years ago, and then going on to receive an honorary Oscar.
Steven Spielberg said all those nice things about me. And I walked on the stage and about 3,000 people were standing up applauding. I liked it.
Let's be blunt, Kirk. You were great at playing characters under stress. You were always good at suffering. And there was a bonus. In Lust for Life, you actually looked like Vincent van Gogh. And of course, for goodness sake, you were Spartacus, a bronzed 44-year-old beefcake with V-shaped torso. Not your best or favourite role, but at your great age, the one you know that will always be the most watched.
But as long as we live, we must stay true to ourselves. I do know that we're brothers, and I know that we're free. We march tonight!
Happy birthday, Kirk.
And back home, the National Road Safety Council, in partnership with the RPNGC Traffic and Highway Patrol, has conducted road safety awarenesses in Central Province schools. This is to educate people about the risks of accidents along the Hiritano and Magi highways. An awareness was conducted today at Kwikila Station by officials of these implementing agencies. Eric Harupma reports.
The Road Safety Awareness Programs in Central Province was an initiative of the National Road Safety Council funded under the Australian Development Bank to address people living along the Hiritano and Magi highways about road safety in areas where ADB funded projects in roads and bridge constructions.
For the first 2 weeks, we have covered all the schools along the Hiritano and the Magi highway. And now the remaining 2 weeks, we are going to target all those communities who are living along the Hiritano and Magi highway. Basically, we are teaching them on basic road safety rules, which will assist them to be safe on the road. At the moment, you're fully aware that along those two highways, they have a high number of road accidents happening along Hiritano and the Magi highway. So basically we are targeting all of them, giving them a basic rules, safety rules, and a regulator which will guide them when they are using the road as a passenger, or as a pedestrian, or as a driver.
With a number of car accidents occurring along the two national highways into Central and Gulf provinces which cost lives of passengers and pedestrians, this awareness is very helpful. In a collaborative effort to mitigate accidental risk, officers from the National Road Safety Authority were engaged with the NCD Traffic and Highway Patrol to carry out road safety awareness in Central Province schools. This morning, officers from the implementing agencies traveled to Kwikila Station and conducted a road safety awareness for locals there.
Find out of Sam. Inside the one block here, 200 to 300 man said die. Low road accident. Now suppose you think him inside the one block here, me block 365 days. Now you broke him this block 300, he come down. You look at him and say one blood day, one blood money will die. Long road accident. Now Emmy one blood serious issue.
Last week, a car accident occurred along the Iritanu Highway, which saw 7 people dying and more than 20 people injured, prompting concerned authorities to conduct road safety awareness. Police, traffic and highway patrol have been at the forefront of dealing with many accidents cases which have produced many deaths, told road users about the safety measure and legal implications.
If you have a PMV, your PMV license sticker should be current. Sit properly inside and let the driver to do his part, because driver knows his responsibilities and how to drive the vehicle. Arms, all arms next to the villages are without warning signs. Plenty arms, only dig him without authority. Road and no playing field. Road is an indirect weapon. Vehicle is an indirect weapon. Suppose human users of the road and of course the vehicle, that both of them becomes a weapon to us. So remember this. You have play the road, talk about no can play the road, you can play, go to backside.
Eric Arukma, National MTV News.
You're with National MTV News. Chukai Sport is up next. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. PNG Under-18 women's basketball team finished their FIBA Oceania Under-18 basketball championship on a high note following their 70-52 win over Guam this morning in Suva, Fiji. Head coach Mary Elavo said the team's tremendous efforts paid off after each player played positively on the courts, saying it was all very rewarding for the girls. Godwin Eki with more.
After months of hard work back home and vigorous training sessions for the Under-18 men's and women's team, as well as all the mentoring before the team departed for the FIBA Under-18 Oceania Championships in Suva, Fiji, has finally paid off after the Under-18 women's team were awarded with a bronze medal in Division B. Their victory came shortly after they lost their 3 other matches against Australia, New Zealand and Fiji before the call of a rematch against Guam. Gaining momentum from their previous matches, the team came back unstoppable and thirsty to fight back for the bronze medal, slashing Team Guam with an 18-point lead. Final score, PNG 70, Guam 52. Team coach Mary Elavo said in order to succeed in future, Papua New Guinea will have to start developing young girls back home the fundamental skills of the code. The team is due to return to Port Moresby next Monday at 12 p.m. Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
Theodist has partnered with the Papua New Guinea Sports Foundation on an initiative to help athletes in the country. An agreement was signed today at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex between the two entities.
The goalkeeper, she might!
Seeing the power of sports in the country, Frieda Stationery Supermarket has decided to help the PNG Sports Foundation.
The unity that sport kind of often gives, you know, when you've got a stadium full of people from every different tribe and every different dialect, and it's one of those times where everyone just tends to come together and represent PNG.
Frieda's sales manager Kevin Anderson says he has been lucky enough to be in the country to have witnessed the Pacific Games and the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup and has seen the influence it has on the people and athletes.
For us, embracing the power of sport is something that's really, really important, and we really hope that the Games is successful.
PNG Sports Foundation Sports Operations and Development Director Peter Chalapan thanked Theodist for their support.
We wish to express our utmost gratitude to Theodist for partnering with us with a discount of 35%, which means that with all our stationery supplies and other equipment that we wish to procure from Theodist, we will be given a 35% discount.
Their support will also help during the PNG Games that will be held next year in Kimbe.
PNG Games is a very big event as compared to the Pacific Games. And indeed we have thousands of athletes, officials that turn up for the Games. And I'm sure that, and we're grateful that Theodist has come on board to be part of, as a support sponsor of the PNG Games. Thank you indeed. Express our gratitude to Mr. Kevin Pini.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The 2016 Southern Region 9's tournament will now be staged at the National Football Stadium from the 11th to 15th of this month. This was announced yesterday after the Southern Region 9's management team secured the venue from the management of the Lloyd Robson Trust.
The Southern Nines tournament has been the platform for new breed of players in the Southern region to showcase their talents and in the process capture the interest of the Intercity Cup teams. Tournament director Ivan Ravu said the players and the management of the respective participating teams will be excited to play on this magnificent venue. The competition has so far attracted 72 registered teams, with the inclusion of Southern Confederate Club Championship between Aroma Coast and Rigo Sather Raiders at 1 p.m. and Hohola Flies up against JCI Titans Gaire at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Ravu said the common goal of the association is to foster and promote rugby league to the community at large, and that's the whole reason why they are merging the competition on the same day. During the games, a strong message on violence against women and girls and HIV and AIDS will be carried out. Participating teams are also encouraged to promote good discipline and sportsmanship, both on and off the field during this 5-day tournament. The gate fee will be 10 kina for adults and 5 kina for children, while a limited number of vehicles will be allowed into the stadium on prior arrangements with the organizers, and for a motor vehicle pass fee of 20 kina per vehicle. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Welcome back, rather. Presidents for a number of rugby's member unions have come out in support of the new interim committee elected to the PNG RFU board. This comes in lieu of recent allegations that claim the constitution currently in place to guard PNG rugby statutes are illegal. Lorraine Genia reports.
Amidst the backdrop of the inaugural Journal Cup, severe political undertones have taken much of the headlines, with the tussle for the top job of PNG Rugby Union on the verge of reaching an impasse. President of Central Rugby Union, Ako Maniana, in a press conference held at Bava Park on Thursday afternoon, has called for change within PNG Rugby.
Done in the last 5 years at least is we've been asking the PNG RFU questions about the validity of the Constitution. For Central, we've only probably for the last 3 years.
Maniana also made reference to the Constitution presently in place to govern PNG Rugby, claiming the current board elected as head of the union exists illegally.
The head at the time was not registered with the IPA. And that's 2015. It's the only constitution that was recognized by the IPA currently is one that goes back to 1998. 1998.
And that's just a draft.
And it's a draft, meaning that the constitution that this current executive, or what we're calling the former executive, is basing its life on is illegal.
However, President for the Spartans Rugby Union Club, Frank McAnui, has questioned the legitimacy of Maniana's interim position, calling it hypocritical.
The members of the new board, they are the people who have been playing or who have been networking with the rugby union for the last 7 years. Why all of a sudden they are saying the constitution is not valid? If the constitution was not valid and you knew about it, why didn't you fix it 7 years ago? Why wait until now? Why wait until now? This is not right.
Claims by the current interim board, consisting of Stephen Kami, Peter Chumley Jr. and Richard Broadbridge, that their installment as executives has been fully endorsed and registered with the Investment Promotion Authority, were refuted in an email from PNG Rugby itself with a certificate of incorporation as proof.
I'm surprised that Mr. Stephen Kami is very anxious to be the president without waiting for the AGM to be conducted. Let the AGM be done, you nominate and get selected, and we'll go with you. There's no problem with that. But why are you in such a hurry to form a new executive?
There are, however, conflicting issues at the moment. On the one hand, while there are cause for change, the approach taken has placed the future of PNG Rugby in jeopardy, as the issue of the constitution is no longer an issue of discussion, as evidenced by the letter from IPA to PNG Rugby confirming the registration of PNG RFU's constitution. Lorraine Guinea, National EMTV Sports.
The village of Vabukori in the National Capital District today had a little taste of PNG High Performance's new program called Reach the Region. The program is aimed at identifying raw talents at a community level across PNG. Part of the talent identification pathway involved fitness screening, positive development learning, and health awareness.
PNG High Performance visited the village of Vabukori today to carry out their Talent Pathway program. This brought youths in the community to try out activities provided by the High Performance team to test their fitness levels, as well as to identify possible future representatives of PNG. The program saw in-class education sessions on advising the athletes on nutrition and hydration and why it is necessary to have a positive mindset and attitudes towards life in general as a sportsman and women, and personal development on how one can take care of him or herself. Talent Pathway Officer Connie Papau said the program is targeted at identifying potential sportsmen and women who can one day represent PNG at regional and international events.
The Vabukori village is renowned of its nurturing the talents here. We got a couple of history back that they've got a long history of volleyball in Vabukori village, that their team have been the champions for the last 12 years. So part of this trial that we have gone through with our Reach the Region program is to get into villages, engage with the communities, and try to run our outreach. And the feedback that we have given, take back from the community leaders and also the parents and the participants have been really positive.
Lucy Casa from PNG High Performance, targeting areas of positive attitude to the athletes, said the involvement of these young youths in the program will one day pay off when they start representing Papua New Guinea.
While talking to them on the topic itself, I could see that and tell that it's a new thing to them. And most of them, I see that they're very young, growing up. And to have a topic like that, been taught in the classroom, to them, it's a new thing. So what I would say that I saw that their interest in listening was very keen, and they were really excited to know what was going on.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports ends there. Coming up next, the weather details and the Health Department's response to the possible strike action by non-clinical staff. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, fine although cloudy at times in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru and Alotau, a shower or two in Kerema and cloudy periods in Popondetta. In the Momase region, mostly fine in Lae and Medang and a shower or two in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in all centres. And in the Highlands region, fine in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now, Health Secretary Pascal Kase said this afternoon the nationwide strike proposed by the health support workers is illegal. A secret ballot conducted last month revealed close to 2,000 members voted for the strike, while only 11 voted against. The non-clinical works now want John Kali, the department's secretary, to meet with them next week.
Despite the approval not granted for the strike, the PNG Health Support Workers Association has executed the planned nationwide strike today at 4:06 p.m. They demanded for their log of claims lodged in September 18, 2015 to be considered. Meanwhile, the association's General Secretary Jack Suau has called for the Personnel Management Department Secretary John Kali to resign, as he said he failed to execute these claims. It's planned that non-clinician staffs who are employed by hospitals, provincial health authorities and rural health services will carry the strike for 3 weeks. This includes staff from accounts, area medical stores, office administration and morgue staff. The health support workers will meet on Monday next week at the Health Department headquarters. Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Nurses registered under the Papua New Guinea Nurses Association have been warned not to take advantage of the nationwide strike action taken by health support staff. General Secretary Edward Foy told EMTV News that disciplinary actions will be taken on nurses who walk off their duties.
Nurses around the country have been warned not to join the strike action by the health support staff, but be loyal to their duties in helping the sick. In an interview with EMTV News today, the PNG Nurses Association General Secretary Edward Foy said consequences of those nurses who wish to take part in the strike is high and might result in termination.
I am calling on all the members, financial members of the Papua New Guinea Nurses Association to refrain from taking part in this strike action that is taken by the Health Support Staff Association.
The Papua New Guinea Nurses Association said they can support the health support staff on their proposed nationwide strike. However, they will maintain work because the strike doesn't really concern the union.
And therefore, we are cautioning all our financial members not to take part in the strike action that's taken by the Health Support Staff Workers Association. Though as a union, we support them morally because they're also fighting for their pay and all the other perks and privileges that affect workers across the country.
Mr. Foy called on the nurses not to take advantage of the strike and stay away from their public duties. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Before we go, a recap of tonight's main stories. Ineffective planning costing country, an update on Frieda River projects, risk and rewards, and health support workers strike action questioned. And that's the news, sports and weather for Friday, the 9th of December 2016. From all of us here at MTV, have a safe weekend. Good night.